afternoon, and welcome to Real Chicks Rock Presents Real Discussions. I'm your host for today, Michelle Dusbert. And I'm super excited. Yeah, because we're going to be talking about something we love to get our little hands on. We can't get enough of it. We're going to talk about it in just a second. But I want to welcome all of our new listeners today for the show. Thank you for joining us. Let me give you a little bit of background about what Real Chicks Rock is all about. It's all about the empowerment of women. And we do it through so many different ways. Well, not so many. We do it in a couple of different ways that I'm glad to be a part of. We do it through community service and activism. We do it through public speaking and mentoring. We do it through our t-shirt line. Yep, people are still rocking the brand. Yeah, we're gonna launch a new collection of t-shirts real soon. And we also do it through the arts. And this particular platform is the media, which I've come to love in the past 2.5 years because it gives us a platform to talk about the things that impact us most as women. And so today is no different than any other day. I thought this would be apropos because this is my last show for the year. Oh, yeah. Last live show for the year. Yes, this is it. And I wanted to go out with a bang. I didn't want to go out with a wish list or anything being sad or I don't have a boo or anything. No. I want to talk about something that's got some power, and what it is to me is money, right? Yes. That is the one thing I think is in the top 3 that people can never get enough of, which is love, sex, and money. And it's not always in that order, right? It's not always in that order. So I have 2 wonderful guests here with me today. They, to me, are financial experts in their own right. I have a gentleman on the phone. He couldn't physically be here in the room today, but he was dedicated to the broadcast, and so he's calling in all the way from New York. I got Carl Agard on the phone, and I got Charlette Clark in the room with me today. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
So today's topic is financial management, and like I said, I feel like these 2 people, and just having conversations with them, and just how they move in social media, off social media, in real life, just depicts what financial management should look like. I think they have the framework and the skill sets and the advice and the tools that we could talk about, because a lot of us as people of color, we struggle a little bit.
We struggle a lot
with our finances. We've made some bad decisions. Maybe we're not getting enough money. We don't know where to put the money. We don't know what to do. We're making deals off napkins. We shaking hands. We don't have contracts. We don't really know what we're doing. The whole term about 401, some of us still don't know what that means and how to invest. So I just want to just kind of slow it down and take it from the beginning. But before we jump in, Carl, tell the people just a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background, so they'll know why you're able to talk the way that you talk. Carl, share a little bit with us if you can.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
Yes.
Love the show. Love the movement. This is Carl Agard, the money expert, calling in from Brooklyn, New York. Rainy Brooklyn, New York, but I'm here. This is the end of the year. Let's end it out with a bang. So basically, a little bit about me. I was one of the youngest black real estate brokers in Brooklyn in the mid-'90s. Wow. I used to flip brownstones. Made my first million before the age of 30. Spent it all back, but hey, I learned how to make it. And I had mentors that told me it's not what you make, it's what you keep. I moved down to Atlanta in 2001 and expanded my business and opened up an office down there in Buckhead. I started building houses in the Atlanta area. Also built houses in Charlotte and the St. Louis area while I was still also rehabbing brownstones. So I did a lot of traveling up and down the East Coast. During my travels, I learned that people didn't know the basics of real estate, investing money, starting a business, credit, finance, and budgeting. So I wrote my first book in 2006 called Getting the Real Out of Real Estate. Self-published it. We sold 10,000 copies. Nice. And then what I did was every year I just started writing more and more books. So then I followed that up with Getting the Real Out of Starting a Business. And then I did Getting the Real Out of Improving Your Credit. Traveled all over the country just basically empowering people on financial literacy, because that's very, very important and not taught at all, not in schools or in the homes.
Right.
And still have the movement going.
Right.
The real estate market crashed in 2008. I lost everything overnight, but I kept it moving.
Right.
A guy like me, I grew up in the projects of Brooklyn. So, hey, you have that hustler's mentality. You just lick your wounds and keep it going. So I just basically rebranded the business. We went into loss mitigation in terms of helping people save their homes from foreclosure. I also did more commercial real estate, small business financing, helped a lot of business owners get started off the ground, or when they're on the ground, get them higher to the clouds. And that's where we're at right now. That's a little bit. That's a little bit. As we go along, you learn more of what I'm doing, but we're just keeping the movement going.
Awesome.
And everything you do is a learning tool, always learning.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Thanks, Carl, for that background. Charlette, tell the people a little bit about yourself.
I'm just a small town girl from Tennessee. I'm a small town girl from Tennessee. I did all the quote unquote right things, went to school, got a couple of student loans, paid them off, went to graduate school on a scholarship, so I didn't have any financial aid to pay back from graduate school. Moved to Atlanta, got a decent job, and stashed away my money. Ended up building up my credit score to over 800, building up my net worth to about 300,000. I didn't make $1 million like Carl, but I'm just a small town girl who, basically just followed, the rules. But like Carl, I was also impacted by the by the housing crisis, and pretty much lost everything. Was laid off 1 year for about 6 months. Was laid off 2 years later for a full year. Was laid off couple of years after that for 1.5 years. So all in all, lost about maybe 3.5 years worth of income. And I'm just so blessed to say that, even during that time, because I had money stashed away, because I had a rainy day fund, because I've been responsible with my finances, I was able to weather the storm from all those times. And because I didn't have credit card debt, because I didn't have a car payment, because I had followed the rules over the course of my life, I was able to really bounce back and be in a position now where I'm able to help people with their dreams, with their businesses. One of the things that I want to do down the line is I want to be a philanthropist, because I understand that there's so many people in the arts community that have so many things they want to do. And so I'm building a foundation right now to make sure that I'm completely better than stable, so that I can give my money to help other people reach their dreams. But that's my story. It was just really, I didn't make millions. But
not yet.
Not yet.
Hey, but you got the mindset.
Exactly.
And Charlette did like a little ad this morning, because she's been excited about being on the show since I asked her. And I asked her, thank you guys for just supporting the show so much. I am booking for people to be on the show like 3 months out in advance. So I met Carl in September, and now we're having this conversation now in December, because the calendar has just been full of people. And so Charlette has been like excited since I asked her to be on the show. So it's been a couple of months and weeks. So this morning you did like an ad, or like, just to say I'm going to be on a show, tune in, listen in, dial in to hear my story. And I heard you mention that you have not made 6 figures.
I've never made 6 figures in my life. The most amount of money I've made, I think, was $80,000, and that's with bonuses, and that's with my side hustles. So a lot of the wealth that I've amassed has been due to me just really being very diligent about saving my money, delayed gratification, investing in the right places. But it's really, if I can do it on a salary ranging from 47 to 80,000, then anybody can do it. Anybody can do it.
I want to talk about a little bit about the delayed gratification, because you two are two different opposites.
Totally.
And knowing Carl is, if I got it and I earn it, I'm gonna get what I want. Is that right, Carl? Is that fair to say about you?
That's right. Hey, I'm of the know to work hard, party hard, reward myself.
Yes.
But within reason. And I like what you said, that a lot of people, they make these excuses saying, hey, I have to have a certain amount of money to do this, that, and the third, and they lose their opportunities. What I like about her, she said, hey, if she's keeping it 100, hey, you know what? I haven't made it. But, you're going to make it because you're on the way there. But you don't want to wait for stuff, because opportunities come and go. Like, I was blessed to start real estate at a very young age, and I had opportunities to jump on something. I didn't wait to say, hey, I got to be at this certain age, or got to have this certain amount of money. I just jumped into it, and then lo and behold, I was making $100,000, $1 million like that. And then, like I said, it comes and goes. You make it, you lose it, you go back and forth. But once you know how to make it and you learn from experience, you're always going to make it. So the key thing about it is a lot of people are having these excuses. And I think now social media is fostering it because anyone now could say, hey, you know what? If I could look like I'm making it, that's just as good right there. And they're making these opportunities come and go. Once you say, hey, you know what? Even though my credit score is not where it needs to be or my money's not where it needs to be, if I see an opportunity, I'm going to jump into it and learn from that. Because what you got to lose? You're either going to make the money or you're going to have an experience to do it better the next time. So I really commend you for going ahead and doing it and being 100. Let people know you don't have to be at that point because we all start at zero.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to talk a little bit, Carl, about your background, just the environment, because oftentimes people of color, we may not always have the positive financial influences within our home. Sometimes, especially kids coming up in New York City, it's a very multicultural city. And sometimes people just take a liking to you that don't look like you. They see a potential in you. They see maybe a hustle, a drive, maybe an intellect, and they take a chance on you by showing you or tipping you or guiding you through the process. So for you, Carl, who was the body of people that helped you? I think it was a particular culture of people. Was it Italians? Was it the Jewish community? Who kind of put you on to this lifestyle of financial empowerment and management?
Yeah, it was real crazy. I had started basically doing like parties and clubs and everything like that. I was renting out these lofts in New York and Brooklyn and doing parties out of it. But then after a while, the landlords will find out and kick you out. So me and my roommates, we was like, oh, man, if we buy a house and live upstairs and the first floor we turn into a party place, we're good to go. So then, we bought a brownstone. Back then it was very cheap. And like I said, we was just daring, you don't realize in your 20s and you look back and retrospect how daring you was, the balls you had to have to do this stuff. So we get a brownstone downtown Brooklyn. We was renovating it to live upstairs and have downstairs as a lounge. That's before people started even doing lounges. And then someone came to us was like, oh, man, we want to buy the building as is right now. And it was $100,000 more than what we bought it for. So we're like, I bet. That was our first big profit. Then one thing led to another. A guy was retiring, going back to Israel. He said, hey, I'm going to give you guys 5 houses. I don't care how you pick them up. Buy them off of me. I'll give you money back. Y'all can do your renovations, and that's that. So then, next we had 6 houses among us. And then we basically got them no money down. We bought it. We started renovating them. My first house was in Clinton Hills, which is a nice area in downtown Brooklyn. I threw a fight party, and when I threw the fight party, people was like, oh, man, this is a nice house. How much is your rent? I said, nah, I own it.
Right.
And that's the reason I threw the fight party, because I'm always thinking ahead. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, cool. I know they're going to ask me about this, so that I have my business cards ready that I'm starting my own real estate firm. So everybody like, oh, man, I want to get a house. Because if you got a house with no money down, I'm in. So the long story short, at the same time, I used to work for a nonprofit because coming from the projects, I went to Syracuse University. I graduated. I came back to the hood. So basically, I was mentoring young adults to go to college. So my nonprofit basically backed me also in terms of, hey, we like your story. You came back. You're helping people out. So we're going to make sure that people, when you get your real estate license, sell their houses through you. Yeah. Because you're one of us.
Nice.
So the Jewish guys that basically did the financing, and they had the title companies, they said, hey, we want to basically do stuff in this area, but I knew I had it on lock. I said, hey, if you want to basically come through my area to buy houses, you got to show me the money game. So, hey, that's how you got leverage. I don't think we as a people know how to leverage what we have.
Gotcha.
We basically give away our stuff. I knew about leveraging. So I said, hey, if you guys got the money, I need your money, you need my houses, you got to come through me because I'm dealing with the churches and nonprofits and the politicians. Hey, you basically got to go through me. I'm the youngest black real estate broker in Brooklyn. What I say goes. Whether they knew it or not, I just leveraged it out there. They said, hey, you know what? We're going to give you $1 million line of credit. So you could buy and rehab houses, but you got to do it through us. I said, bet. And then basically, I give you the green light if you need to do certain things in this area. And that's how it happened. And then I just was a sponge, learning their movements, what they do with their money, how they reinvest, how they work together, how they teach people in their circle. And they, believe me, they don't just give you information for GP. You got to basically leverage it and take it and learn, and got to be a sponge. So that's how I started learning the finance game. So that's how I learned how, the mortgage game, commercial mortgage game, title companies, how to clear title, how to take your property, how you evaluate, how you buy it, how you sell it, how you make your profit. But definitely, they taught me the game, and I had to use that and disseminate it and teach our people, which I did through my book.
I appreciate that. That's good.
Can I follow up with something?
Yeah, sure.
So one of the things that I look back on and I realized that I didn't do, I think when I was maybe 20, 21, I did an internship at the Department of Energy. And I went to a white college, went to a white high school, and at the Department of Energy, I was surrounded by majority of white people. And I would meet these older white men, and they would tell me, and people would say, such and such is a millionaire, but you couldn't tell by looking at him because of the way he dressed. Right. So I would sit down and I would have these conversations with these white gentlemen, and one of them told me years ago to take some of my money and invest it in stocks. And, I was in my early 20s. Right. And I heard what he said, and he sat down and talked with me for about half an hour about this is what you need to do. Okay. But I didn't take that information and act on it. And if I had at that age, who knows where I would be now.
You'd be a millionaire now.
So, exactly. So I say that to say that sometimes we have conversations with people. I say that to say this. Don't be afraid to talk about money. Right. Like one of the things that I love that he said was that he talked about money with people. I came from a family that would talk about money. My dad would talk about money. My siblings and I would talk about money. Right. I talk about money openly to people. Right. And if you are afraid, if we as a people are afraid to have these conversations about money, then we really, we don't have any leverage. We really don't know, okay, what can I use to get ahead in this situation? Who may need my help in this situation? And the other thing too that he said that I wanted to touch on later on was about giving back. Like he worked with a nonprofit. I'm a firm believer that if you live your life just to get and amass wealth and money, and if you're an opportunist, that the pendulum will swing the other way. It will at some point. So you must place yourself in a position to definitely help yourself. Yourself, your legacy, have that foundation, but also have the mindset of giving back to other people because it does come back to you.
Absolutely. I want to talk about the fact that we, as people of color, we don't talk about money. It could be a fear. I think what it is an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment because you appear to be doing well. And then when somebody asks you, what's in the bank? Girl. What's your 401? Girl. Even Charlette asked me, well, who's helping you sponsor this show? And there's an embarrassment because it's not where it needs to be or it's not where it should be. And they don't know how to engage in those conversations. Who can they trust to talk about it? Because sometimes when you try to be transparent about your financial matters or anything that you have, if it's given in the wrong hands, then it's all over, right? Then everybody knows so-and-so doesn't have any money or they're really struggling. So whenever we come up against hard times or we're just making it, it's a huge population of us that are just making it. We are paycheck to paycheck. And we've heard it oftentimes that we need to have 3 to 6 months worth of salary saved up for those rainy days, for those you're getting laid off. Sometimes people get laid off and there is no severance, right? Or you get laid off and you have difficulties in finding a job, which you've had layoffs like 3 times. Oh
my gosh, back to back.
Yeah. And you were able to sustain and maintain and keep going. A lot of us, if that happens, we don't know what we're going to do. So this conversation today is very powerful and pivotal because we want to start to educate people, even with the smallest amounts possible, to start making those steps forward. Another intimidating factor is we don't go and find out what our credit score is. Girl. right?
Right.
We have no idea what our score is. We apply for things, or people send us an application. We go ahead and get it. We're declined. We don't follow up. We don't understand. We have no idea what's on our credit scores. So I want to ask, I'm going to start with you, Charlette. What are the 3 areas or credit score reporters that we should be checking every year? Tell us.
And I've been checking my credit score since I was like 18 years old. Annually, every year I pull my credit score and check
It's
that
like
bad
getting
boy.
tested.
It is.
It's like going to the doctor. Like, you need to know what your financial status is.
Absolutely.
Fair enough. Okay.
They say your health is your wealth.
Right.
And your health is your wealth.
Yes.
But you must also be on top of your financial health as well. So there's TransUnion, there's Equifax, and Experian.
Yes.
Those are the 3 powerhouses.
Yep.
And you should check your credit score. Definitely check your credit report at least once a year. You want to look to see if there's anything on there that's negative, that's not true, if there's any mistakes. You want to make sure that negative things fall off. You want to make sure, like in my case, I got my first credit card when I was like maybe 19 or 20 years old.
Right.
So I've got I won't say my age, but I have several decades.
She doesn't look her age, so it doesn't even matter.
I'm 65. But I have several decades of credit history, under my belt.
Right.
So my credit score is as high as it is because I've had the same two credit cards for several decades.
Several decades.
Decades.
And drum roll, please. What is your credit score, Charlette?
A year ago. The good and bad news, and this is why I'm so glad you brought me back on the air, because last year when Michelle brought me on, I'm going to talk to the camera. Last year when Michelle brought me on, I was like, yeah, I wasn't braggadocious, but my credit score was 849. I had money in the bank. I had, my house was close to being paid off. I had, I think I might have had 1 automobile at that time. But, I didn't have a care in the world.
Right.
But it was because, I, did the right little things and whatnot. But since that time, I lost my job and I got so stressed out with so many different things that I stopped paying a couple of bills. It's not that I didn't have the money, but I just was so overwhelmed with other things that I missed paying one particular bill. I think I only had $60 to pay.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So I missed paying that one bill, and because of that, my credit score dropped 100 points.
Ooh.
Yes, it dropped.
Yeah.
So
it
would have hurt because I'm like, I ain't been under 800 in years. It ain't been a 7.
Oh
what?
My
A
God.
7 what? On my credit
You don't even
score.
know that language.
I didn't even know that. I was like, what is a 7 something?
Oh my gosh.
But I say that to say that we all make mistakes.
Yeah,
we all
do.
make mistakes. And so now I've had to be diligent about making sure all my bills were paid on time, making sure that I kept an eye on my credit score. And to your point, one of the reasons that credit scores are so important, people, is that your car insurance, they judge you by how much you're going to pay on your car insurance, by your credit score. What you pay on interest for a car, what you pay on interest for a house. Jobs have hired me because of my credit score. So your credit score isn't just something to look at and be like, oh, this is pretty. But like Carl was saying about getting loans and whatnot, people judge you on your ability to pay back loans, on your credit worthiness by looking at your credit score. So you want to get that bad boy as high as it is and protect it at all costs. So that's all I've got to say. Carl, do you have anything to say about that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. A few points. Y'all make some great points. One, I'm starting to advise, like a lot of my clients, to check their credits more frequently. I'm going to tell you why. There's a lot of hacking going on now. People are assessing your credit report and your information online like crazy. Just recently, I had someone tapped into my stuff and try to order stuff at Fingerhut. Thank God I got a letter in the mail. Someone had access to my credit information and try to order stuff at Fingerhut. And so I'm starting to tell people if they're on Credit Karma, Experian.com, if they're on Credit Check Total, just, go on there and, set the alerts up so they send you an alert that, hey, someone did an inquiry in your report or whatever, but also check it more frequently because of the hacking that's going on. Because you don't know who got access to your information that could go in there and they're applying for, like, cars, credit cards, Fingerhut, cable bills, like even petty stuff now. And then you don't know. And then, like you said, you could work for 10 to 20 years to get up to an 800 credit score, and one thing could go on and knock you back down overnight. And then you got to start all over again. It's really sad. Same thing with your banking information. I tell people it could be paranoia, but I check my bank accounts once or twice a day, because you don't know using your debit cards that people could go in there, and that impacts your credit score also, because someone could go in there, use your credit card or debit card, run something up. You don't know. Now you're in the negative, and then some might not get paid, and then that could also affect your credit score by something not getting paid because someone getting your credit card information.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I actually had that happen to me as well, where I actually got a phishing email where someone emailed me saying that I had made a purchase, and in order for me to dispute that purchase, I needed to go on this website, click this link, and put in my social or something. And I was in such a panic that I had made this fraudulent purchase, that I was told that someone had made a fraudulent purchase on my behalf, that I went in and not mistakenly, but just foolishly put my information on this website. And then I realized my folly, and that, okay, now this person has my social, or this entity has my social. So I put a freeze on my credit report. So you're absolutely right. Like, there's lots of hacking going via email and via social media where people can get your information. And
it really good too. Just like with the phishing, the sites look just like the regular sites. So
just like the regular site.
I mean, they're very, very good, and you can get caught up there so easily. Not knowing, I have no idea how they got my information.
Right,
they're going finger hut. But stuff is so good that they could just get your information so easy.
Yeah, because everything is required for you to have a password or sign on, and sometimes you don't really want to do that. Sometimes it's a one-time purchase or just trying to check something out or get some information. It's everything once your email address or some type of sign on or logging in, and then it just leads into something else. I mean, a lot of us are on iPhones, and that whole Apple Pay thing is kind of like, so I agree with Carl. I do check my banking very frequent throughout the day, because as I use it, I want to make sure, I'm accountable for what I'm doing, and there isn't any kind of funny business that's going on. I wanted to talk to you guys about budgets. That's another word that we hear and we shake our head and we nod and we say, I'm going to be on a budget, just like we're going to say, I'm going to work out starting on Monday. It's the same thing. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to do things. I'm going to go to church. I'm going to do, there's certain things that we always shake our head and say, yes, I know it's important. But for you, I know, Charlette, was it a budget that kind of saved you or kept you resilient during those difficult times?
It was.
Okay.
And again, as a young girl, I would watch my dad and watch how he managed his finances. I would watch him write checks at the kitchen table, paying the bills. I would watch my mom. Like Carl was saying earlier, I think he said he grew up in the projects or the hood or something.
Yeah.
But
he did.
Brooklyn to me is all that. Brooklyn is house. But my family came up from very humble means, and we were in the projects in the very beginning. Both my parents were able to get good jobs, but when they got a good job, moved to the neighborhood, they were the first white family in the subdivision. But my mom still used food stamps for the first 6 months or so.
Wow, okay.
They still lived off of a budget, even though they were both making really good money at that time. So that transferred on to me. So when I became an adult, which is a dirty word to me. Ooh. But when I grew up, I also lived off of a budget. I would look at how much am I spending on my cable, my cell phone.
Yes.
The days before there were cell phones, my rent, my water, my electricity, just all my basic utilities. And I actually have a notebook. I didn't bring it with me, but I have a notebook that I've had for at least 20 years where I would track, this is how much I'm spending every month. So when I had job losses or major expenses, I knew, okay, well, I can only spend this amount of money this month, or okay, I need to cut this bill, or I can't go on this trip. But budgets are also great too, because you can also say, okay, I had 3 certificates of deposits, CDs, that I had in a bank account. Budgets are great because then you can also plan and say, okay, I'm going to use this money to take a trip to Ireland, which is what I did. I went to Ireland during the time that I was laid off because I had money in one of my accounts. So budgets are, they're not necessarily restrictive. They actually give you the freedom to operate within a certain range that you are acutely aware that you can operate in. Yeah. And the other thing too is that before you even work on a budget, figure out what your values are. What's most important to you? If you have a family, if you have a house, if you have an elderly parent that you have to take care of, like, you have to design your budget around the things that you value most, and then look at what your income is and how you can make that money, how you can allocate that money to meet each one of these values that you deem is important for yourself. Everybody's budget is different. Very different.
Carl, comments from you. Budget, the importance of having a budget. And I know you may struggle with that because you believe in instant gratification at the same time.
Oh, no.
Right?
Wait. On the contrary, my instant gratification is because of budgeting. Listen, back in the late 90s, right after I made my first million, I spent it back. And my bankers was like, listen, it's not what you make, it's what you keep.
Speak it.
Yeah, because they're young. I'm in my late 20s. I had 2-3 cars in Brooklyn. Even though you don't need a car in Brooklyn, I had a nice house. I had more offices. And, I'm blowing through money. But not because I'm being – but, you're thinking like it's always going to come. It's always going to come. And they said, hey, you went to school for economics. There's highs and lows. It goes up and down. So you got to be prepared for a downfall. And I remember in the year 2000, there was the internet bubble. And I basically didn't budget it for that, so I lost money. I was struggling, and then I made it back. Then, thank God, I started budgeting and watching my expenses, not on just a personal level, but also now I'm self-employed. So also I had to look on my business level that you got to budget and have a balance sheet. Because then what happened is when 9/11 hit, that was another bubble, and then I was able to sustain it. And then when the real estate market hit, once again, even though I lost a lot of money, by this time I already had a habit of budgeting. In my book, Getting the Real Out of Improving Your Credit, most of the book is also talking about budgeting, balling on a budget, budgeting. We have an income and expense report that everyone has to write out, very detailed, because I think everyone got to have an income and expense. When you write down your income on one side, what you got coming in, whether you're self-employed or you're on a salary, you got your side hustles, you write it all down. Then on the other hand, you got your expenses. You got your fixed costs, which is your rent, your car note, your insurance, your utility bills. Then you got the stuff that'll fluctuate, which is your food expenses, your gas, your entertainment, and stuff like that. And I tell people, put down your entertainment. You're not going to sit in the house all day. You are going to go out and hang out and have a good time and travel. Put that in also. Have an allowance for that. And then you gauge to say, hey, if I'm making $4,000 a month, after everything is, my taxes are taken out, I got $4,000. I get $2,000 every 2 weeks. Then you got your expenses. That may add up to about maybe $2,500. Now you got $1,500. Then you say, okay, with that $1,500 left over, what am I going to do with it? Am I going to put it aside? Am I going to invest it? Am I going to do this and a third? But at least you know that I have $1,500 to play with. Or at least to put aside, because we never know what happens. We never know when a car breaks down, a family member gets sick. Like what happened in Charlette, you may get laid off, and you might have to tap into that money. And if you don't know that you got $1,500 to play with, when you do get laid off, that might be your money you might have to live off until you get another job. Where most people, they don't have that. They just go ahead and say, okay, I got this money, I'm going to blow through it. How many people we all know that make good money? They're like, that he's always broke. You know what I'm saying? Because of that.
Yeah.
They're making $80,000, $90,000 per year, but you say, this guy's broke because they don't budget, basically. And budgeting is very important. Very, very important. I don't think a lot of us do it, but I always recommend people, get yourself an income and expense report. It's a one-page sheet. Well, what I would even do for people, the listeners, I would email them mine.
Yes, I was going to ask you.
And for 2019, you sit down and say, this is what I got coming in, and this is what I got going out. Another good thing that's good is that I still do that because I'm self-employed. I have to budget because, I may have good months. My good months are the summer times. My good months are maybe October, November. Then I got the slow time. The slow time is like around now, the February, January. We call it the dog days. July is slow because people are vacationing and they're not looking into buying houses or getting loans and mortgages. So I have to do the budget to know that, okay, this is what I got coming in, this is what I'm paying out. What I just did even recently was I looked at my budget and I said, what can I do to save another $200-$300 per month? But I don't care how much money I'm making.
Right.
I like to not give away my money.
Yes.
And what I looked at, I saw my car insurance was higher.
Yes.
My cell phone bill was higher. My cable bill was higher. And what I did was I negotiated them.
Right.
$50 a piece, and I saved myself $150 a month because I got to look for the winter time when it's slow.
When it's slow.
So I got $150 more I could put to the side. So maybe I could take Michelle out to something to eat, whatever. I could put that to the side. So that's why budgeting is important also.
Love it.
Because you could look and say, hey, what am I overpaying on?
Right.
I hear cable is higher, man, to get a Fire Stick. I got to do something different.
Yes, you do. You do. Carl, let me ask you this question, because you and I, and Charlette is not telling her age, so you and I are a little seasoned, right? So we've been around a little bit.
I'm seasoned.
And I'm discovering that more and more people in our age group are starting to say, having a house is overrated. Like, I don't want that anymore. Like, I feel stuck. If something happens to the house, I have to pay to get it fixed and all this. And I just want, when my kids get a certain age, they're gone and I'm out and I travel and I do this. Maybe renting is better. Do you feel that's the way we should go? Or do we just need to stick with the house and maybe
take off my jacket on this one.
and start getting other houses and flipping them? Tell us, Carl. What do you think?
Boy.
What do you think? Should we get out of the mortgage game?
I'm gonna go deep. I'm gonna go deep on this one.
All right.
I am too, Carl.
Ooh, she took her jacket
out there for our people not to buy and say, oh, it's a hassle, you're going to lose your house, because they know that if we're not buying, they're able to scoop it up.
Oh.
I tell people, you make your money when you buy, not when you sell. You don't go buy overpriced houses or go above your means to impress people.
Okay.
My first house in Clayton Hills was a raggedy little house for $110,000. I was ridiculed at first. Hey, I had a nice apartment. I used to live in Lost, but I was renting. I bought this house. It looked like a little shack. It was under the BQE. If some of y'all know how Brooklyn is, it was like the other side of the track, but it was in a gentrifying area.
Yeah.
That house was worth $300,000 in a matter of 2 years. Now all of a sudden I'm a genius.
Right.
But it's because I bought smart.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to impress nobody. It was about long term. Every house that I bought, every business that I buy low. I negotiate the hell out of it. I buy it low because I want to create myself instant equity. What I see a lot of people do is they want to buy high and hope it goes appreciate. You got to buy low. You got to buy a foreclosure, a short sale, a probate, someone relocating, someone getting divorced. That's what you buy. When I hear people say, oh, I'd rather rent, it's because they're not being educated. They're looking at people that bought wrong and hear them complain and they get turned off.
Okay.
And that's what's happening. Or they listen to articles saying, oh, you don't need to buy, it's better renting, because they don't know what's the underlying tone under that. Meaning, yeah, we want more people to rent because we want more opportunities for us to go ahead and buy. You know what I'm saying? And people not reading between the lines.
Okay.
You make your wealth by buying real estate and buying businesses. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
I got you.
I've made millions over time. I lost it. I made it back. I did. But you know what? It gave me freedom. Freedom to live where I want to live, put my kids in the best schools, travel where I want to travel, and also build a legacy for other people. Let me tell you something. Just last night, I went to Queens. I'm hanging out with a group of people where one guy was losing his houses. I negotiated his mortgages, did a modification, built up his credit, got him a business loan. We financed the commercial property. Now he has one of the best lounges in Queens.
Nice.
This place was popping last night. And the guy said to me, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't even have this. 3 other people came to meet me that lived in Queens. All of them said, man, thank you for negotiating my mortgage, because now I'm able to refinance it to do different things. And it made me feel good because, you know what I'm saying, it's not about what I tell people, the money and whatever. It's really helping people because we don't have that out there, because a lot of us make the money and don't give back. It's all about the give back at the end of the day. It's all about when you're in the casket and they're lowering you down, that people say, man, that person really put me on to something that I never knew was there.
Yeah.
So just a wrap up what I'm talking about is I really feel that the younger generation is not understanding it because they're getting misinformation, they're hearing bad stories, or people is like throwing them the shenanigans, and they're not realizing that you don't build wealth unless you buy your house. You got to buy it low, and you start a business, even if it's an online business. And you just start your own business and make your own money and build it. And you got to build it basically. It don't happen overnight. You just got to put that work in.
Right.
But, we all got to get out there and be home. It's all about ownership.
Yeah.
Can I speak to that?
Yeah, go, Charlotte.
So 2 things. I agree with everything that he just said,
Yes.
everything. However, like I said before, like I discuss money with my friends. I discuss money with my family. All 4 of my siblings, all 4 of us, we're all homeowners.
Right.
My brother has a rental property here in Atlanta that he bought for, I hope you're not listening, Jabari, but he bought, I want to say, for like 170, and it's now doubled that just
Right.
because the housing market in that area has just blown up. And when he bought that house, it was predominantly, people of color that
Right.
lived in that neighborhood. The housing market dropped. There were houses around him that foreclosed. I think his house value went down to like maybe $70,000 at one point. But because, we came from, a family where we, lived within a certain budget.
Right.
My brother was laid off, but he was still able to make his house payments.
Nice.
Now he has a job in D.C. He's bought a gorgeous house up in D.C. He's got 4 kids. He rents his house out here in Atlanta, so
Right.
the house is paying for itself. The house is paying for itself. The house he has up in D.C., he's making the payments on that. Like, because he didn't just fold and give away his house here in Atlanta, he's got, I hope nobody's going to try to look up my brother, but but he has property here in Atlanta. You and I have a mutual friend. I won't say her name, but she's fabulous. And she bought a house in Cobb County for like $160,000. Like I said, I talk money with everybody.
Right.
She just bought a house for $160,000, I want to say, in Cobb County. And she said now her house is worth over 270 or something, maybe 210. But her house, and it's just been a couple of years,
Yeah.
her house has increased in value. And she takes from every transaction that she does, legal transaction that she does, she takes lump sums of money, throws it at her house. She started off with a 30-year mortgage, and she's just been throwing money at the principal. And she said now she only has 8 years left to pay on her house.
That's what's up. Yeah.
So with me, I bought my house. I bought my house 15 years ago, and I am just this close to like being completely done.
Right.
Home ownership. I've got friends who had houses and who are now gun shy about getting a house again because their homes had been broken into or they lost their house in the financial crisis. And I love the fact that you bring up people of color. Like, people of color have historically been disenfranchised. In the credit market, we've been the victims of predatory lending.
Yes.
We've been the victims of like not being able to get the same types of loans that other people have gotten. We've been the victims of only been shown houses in certain neighborhoods because people prejudge us. So it's very important for us to do the due diligence on our own behalf and to have conversations with realtors and with people who people like Carl, loan officers, so that we know what we can do, what we can afford. Buy a house within, live within your means.
Right.
Don't buy, if you are eligible, for a $400,000 house, don't buy that $400,000 house. You buy that $300,000 or $250,000 house, something you can afford in case money gets lean. But absolutely, the average net worth for people in our age group, I want to say, is $280,000 for, and when I say our age group, anywhere between, I think let's say between 30. Actually, I looked it up today. Between 35 and 44, the average net worth, the median net worth is like $288,000.
Okay.
My net worth is a bit more than that, only because I bought property, and that property is almost paid off. Yeah. And hopefully, I'll walk into Carl's shoes and I'll buy another property or I'll buy commercial property. But I'm going to do something to make sure that I leverage what little bit I have in order to, amass more money so I can so I can be a philanthropist and help other people, because it is about giving back.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. I think we lost Carl, so I'm going to
no.
call him back.
Okay.
Yeah, we just lost him.
Okay.
But yeah, this is actually excellent information. Let me get Carl back on the phone.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. Good old Brooklyn.
So while she's doing that, I'll just talk a little bit more about net worth, or about salaries. Like in Atlanta, the average salary in Atlanta is $59,000, and the median household income is $62,000. So if people are living, you've got households living off of that amount of money. Then if you as an individual make more than that amount of money, you can make it work. You can live within a budget. You can buy a home.
Yeah.
You can buy a home.
So welcome back, Carl. I'm going to ask the question. Sorry you got disconnected. I don't know what happened. Might be Brooklyn. That's all I'm going to say. I'm a Bronx.
It's either the weather or here's a funny story. As I'm on the show, my followers are texting me like, "Oh, they love the show. They're listening to it right now, and they're trying to ask me questions." I'm like, "Dude, I'm on the
Tell them to hold on. This is good. We like this kind of feedback. You know, it could be the weather. It just could be Brooklyn. I'm a Bronx girl, so I'm gonna throw a little shade on Brooklyn. That's how it is. But welcome back, Carl. Glad you could continue to rock with us on this conversation. I wanted to talk about 401s, right? When we get a job with corporate America, that's the first thing they ask us in human resources. You fill out all the paperwork, your medical benefits, your dental, your vision, and all that. And then the question about how much you want to put into your 401. Do we find that to still be beneficial today to invest? Charlette, you want me to ask Carl?
I'll be happy to answer, because I'm in corporate America.
Okay, Charlette is going to ask all he sees. Charlette is going to answer the question.
Hey, let Charlotte take that. Hey, I've been self-employed since the 90s, so I don't even...
Exactly. He's self-employed. When I first got my job here in Atlanta several years ago, I wasn't well-versed on 401ks. I should have been, but I wasn't. And it took a man of a different persuasion to sit me down, close the office door, and he was like, "You have to invest in a 401k." I think I was in my late 20s, and he didn't have any vested interest in teaching me this information, but he said, "You're giving away free money.
Okay.
If you don't invest a certain percentage in your 401k and your company matches it, then you're just letting free money go out the door." So I've been investing in various 401ks since that time.
Okay.
And it has served me well.
Okay.
It has served me well. The two reasons I would implore people to get that 401k is because let's say if you're my employer and let's say you pay me $40,000 a year, so I'll say, okay, I'm going to put 6% into my 401. I'm going to take 6% of my pre-tax salary and put that into my 401k, into all these mutual funds and these investments. You as my employer, some employers will say, okay, well, I'll match some of this money that you're putting in. So you're basically giving me free money that's going to go towards my retirement. And depending upon how many years I'm working with your firm, I'll become fully vested in that amount, which basically means I can take all that money you give me, and when I leave the company, I run with it.
Right.
So 401ks for me have been extremely valuable. I didn't think it was at first.
Right.
I really didn't. I'm like, I'm only making this amount of money.
Yeah.
I can't afford to shave off 5% here or 6% here.
Right.
But man, I am a woman of a certain age. Retirement is staring me dead in the face. And because I have money that I have been able to save in my 401ks, if I wanted to, I can borrow against that money. So let's say I have $100,000 in my 401ks. I can borrow against that money. And if I borrow against that money and I pay that money back, the money that I pay back and the interest that I pay back for that loan that I borrow against my 401k comes directly to me.
Gotcha.
So another reason why I think 401ks are very important because also we're creatures of habit, and we're creatures of immediate gratification.
Right.
So if we don't have a structure in place that automatically takes 5%, 6%, 10% out of our salary to save it for us, we're going to find a reason to spend that money. We're going to see a nice pair of boots. We're going to see some rims. We're going to see a cruise. We're going to see something that we want to spend that $5,000 or $10,000 on.
Yes.
So it's very critical because no one's responsible for your retirement except for you.
Except you.
So I firmly believe in having a 401k. And because I've had one over the years, I'm on track for retirement.
What's your retirement age, if you don't mind sharing?
I thought it was going to be 54. But now that life expectancy is like in the 90s.
90s? Woo!
Life expectancy is in the 90s. My retirement age is now going to be 65.
65.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
so, but I still plan on working. I still plan on having like side hustles. But I'm on track because I've had 401ks and because, yeah. So I would stress for anybody.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have a corporate job, find a vehicle. There are vehicles out there that will automatically take money and take money and put it in investment accounts for you. So Carl, I'll lend the mic to you now.
Yeah, Carl, I'm sure you have some other investment opportunities outside of real estate. Is that a safe assessment or no?
Yes, I got interest in a juice bar in Atlanta. Of course, my media stuff, which is my books, speaking and stuff like that. So, yeah, you always want to diversify because, in this day and age, nothing lasts forever. So you always want to be diversified. And I always say, do your passion. A lot of people got passion that they do, and they're not even using it to make money with it, you know. So I would tell people, don't get into something because you see someone else is doing it. Do something that's your passion and make it yours and own it and try to make money with it.
What's the empowerment piece for you, Carl? Is it the fact that you got freedom, or is it the financial part of it? What is it? Because to me, in talking with you, this is like an art. Like, this isn't just a gig or a job, or you look at it kind of scientifically. You embrace the challenge of making money, the art of it. There's an art. There's always an art to cooking. There's an art to music. There's an art to making money for you. So is that the empowerment piece for you, that you get to kind of think about it?
Yeah, that was always my passion. I know from when I was little, 8 years old, I remember drawing comic books and selling it to my classmates, or I would collect baseball cards and sell those. So I was always selling stuff. It was a natural thing with me. And then I was always engaging with people. I just love talking to people, learning from people. So over time, I just learned how to marry it in terms of talking to people, learning and find out what they want and needs and what they want, and match it to making money. And that was just always my passion. So I guess I went into my passion, because even when I went to college, my major was economics. My minor was retail and marketing. And then I was the president of the fraternity, president of all the fraternities and sororities. So even I made that to a money-making venture where I was managing the biggest step show in the East Coast. I expanded the fraternities into different smaller schools and then throwing parties there to make money off of their students. So to me, I think that was my passion. That's what I was born to do, I guess, because I worked in the corporate world. But even when I worked in the corporate world before I did real estate, I was a top salesman. But the good thing about it was growing up in the projects and seeing that we wasn't exposed to wealth. People are watching stuff come and go. And I was like, hey, we need to be empowered. And then another eye-opener, guys, is that when the market crashed, I was doing loss mitigation. I just rebranded my business. So we went from building houses to doing loss mitigation, meaning that we're negotiating people mortgages, saving people houses from foreclosures and everything like that, saving businesses from struggling businesses. So I started working with different demographics. I was a consultant for a group of Egyptian guys in Dallas where I saved their houses from foreclosure, and learning how they dealt with money, and they was helping each other and helping each other. Yeah. And we just said it earlier about how we don't help each other. We don't have a dialogue about making money because we like to act like, oh, I got money, but I don't want to put nobody on. Or this person's doing bad. Ha, look at that person.
Yeah.
Not knowing that we could be like that too. And I didn't like that in terms of us as a people. But when I was working with these Egyptian guys, it was a big eye opener. It was my first time really, really working with a different demographic day in, day out. And I never forget a guy out of Delhi. I'm doing his business loan, and he couldn't afford to pay his taxes so that I could get his business license and sit it in to get his loan funded. He needed $2,000. And I never forget, these guys went to the ATM machine, his Arabic guys, and they gave him the money like nothing.
Wow.
And they said, that's our brother. He got to survive. If he fail, we fail. And in my mind, I'm like, man, I've been in the same room with our people where they laugh and say, ha, sucks for being you.
Wow.
And it was an eye-opener that how other people was empowering each other. Then, not too long ago, I got hired as a consultant for a Chinese real estate firm.
Wow.
And same thing. They was like, oh, this guy losing his house. We got to make sure he don't lose his house because I know him from Beijing, and I'm doing this, and he's doing that. And it was helping each other. Same thing with the Koreans. And for me, the whole thing is about empowerment. Like, hey, if I could get as many people as I can, whether through social media, my books, my e-books, whatever, that's good at the end of the day. You know, you got some that just don't get it, but you got some that's on the fence that need that push or to see it, to say, hey, you know what, I see that. I know that there's something out there for us. And that's why we got to keep doing what we're doing, all of us here, is because there's people out there that don't know that this is for you also. It's not for anybody else. It's for us also.
Right.
No one's going to knock on your door and say, hey, you know, you could do this and that. You got to really go out there and get it and stick at it. I just see too many of us is just like either not trying or giving up prematurely.
Charlette?
I agree with that. Again, like everything he said is spot on. And the people that know me most, they know that I'm a giver. I give of my time, my talents, my expertise. Over the years, I have loaned people about $15,000. Different people that were in my circle, I've loaned about $15,000. Some of that money I've gotten back.
Okay.
Some of that money I haven't. Okay. So my old rule of thumb was if I got it, you got it. If I got it, your business has it.
Right.
There are business people here in Atlanta. I won't call y'all out.
Atlanta's good for that, too.
Atlanta's good for that. Atlanta's good for that. Who I invested thousands of dollars in, and they, you know, I had to take them to court to get my money back. So
that's real.
It is real. So we're talking about financial wealth, financial management. Part of that is whether it's a personal loan, whether it's a business loan. If it's a business loan, I would still stress to get something in writing because you may need a paper trail to go and like get your money back, at least get your principal back. If it's a personal loan, I commend the Egyptians. I commend people that help other people. I have helped a lot of people. But my new rule of thumb now is I don't want money to come in between me and my friends. So I will gift people money that I know that I can lose. But if it's a loan, I have to be very, very, very careful of who I loan money to, because sometimes people will take your money, act like it's their money, and they'll mismanage your money that you lend them. So it's very critical. You know, even with me talking about, hey, it's all about community and giving back. Firm people in Atlanta, you guys know that I give back. But I also firmly believe that you must practice discernment with who you choose to partner with, who you choose to give money to. You must do that. And especially if you have a business or if you have a family, you must make sure home is taken care of first. And anything off the top, sure. So that's it.
Yeah, it's not our job. I think that, I shouldn't say it's not our job. I think that there are certain people that are going to be assigned to you, or you're going to feel like, okay, I can work with this person and maybe not that person. And it's never anything personal per se. It's about the discernment. It's about the gut feel. It's about, at the end of the day, it's really got to be a win for both people.
Absolutely.
So even if you're in the lane of giving, you want to feel a certain way that you gave to the right organization, you gave the right way, there was no malice or any kind of anything going on, because it's got to be pure in that transaction of giving. Otherwise, you might as well keep it, because nobody wants bad energy or bad karma attached to you giving something in a good that's supposed to be for a good charitable reason or a cause. So yeah, oftentimes.
Can I touch on something that Charlette said? Something she touched on is very important and a very great thing in terms of like, we all make mistakes lending money to family and friends, because we want to be nice. We feel that we've been blessed. We want to give that blessing. But I guess it's like what we had to learn over time is that you just can't give to everybody. After you get burned after the first few times, because we get burned once, we try it again and again. After a while, like, oh, hold on, but then you don't want to get jaded, because you might have someone that really needs it that could do something good with it. But you got to look at it as a business decision also. I get people coming to me all the time with something, and I just say, hey, look, do you have a business plan? What is your idea? How are you going to pay this back? I screen them just as bad as a bank does. Because I'm not in the actual getting away money, because it adds up.
It does add up.
If 10 people ask you for $100,
come on,
that's $1,000 right there, and they all might feel like, oh, I'm gonna pay them back. It's only $100, geez. But then it's $1,000, and then so that, like I said, you may get a bump in the road. You might need that $1,000 to fix your car. Now, and then what? Then they're gone, right? So,
you do.
What I had to do with people, because, like when I was young, I was just giving away money. That was a part of when the guys was like, yo, dude, you got to keep money, not give it away. Because not only was I just buying luggage, but I was like helping out people, because I had this thing, I felt blessed. And then, our people make you feel guilty. Man, I knew you ain't had nothing. I knew you when you was in the projects. And then I felt an entitlement to give people money. Then after a while, like, hold on. So then I had to do it as a business decision, Hey, look. I could bring you to the water, but I'm not going to teach you how to drink or make you drink. I'm going to say, hey, what is your plan? How I'm going to get this payback? What's my interest? What's my stake? What's my this? Hey, matter of fact, here's 5 things you should be doing. Have you done that yet? Because you got some people say, hey, man, I got this idea. I want to open up a restaurant. You're like, oh, wait a minute. Have you ever worked at a restaurant? Have you ever cooked food? What is your business plan? How I'm going to get paid back is a great idea, but we all got great ideas. I got to put up, I'm a money expert. My IG is Carl Agard, the money expert. Sometimes I got to say I'm a money expert, not a miracle maker. You got to, have a plan in place of how you're going to pay it back, because we're not in the idea of giving away money. And sometimes I say, look, I might not have the money to give you, but hey, I give you all my ebooks. You can read it through and through and learn what you need to do. Because the blueprint is right there, So what she's saying is like very key, and for other people listening, is that it's good to give back, but do it if you're gonna do it with your money, do it like a business, so that you don't end up on Judge Mathis. And then 2, if you got the knowledge, to me, it's just as good as the money,
right?
Because our knowledge is transferable, and I would say, hey, look, my knowledge and my connections, if you're serious, will give you a whole lot longer than a loan.
Right.
Yeah. We're going to get serious, Carl, in 2019. Real talk with the financial management, because we got to. Carl, let me ask you this. What materials and books do you read to keep yourself abreast on what's going on? Just for those people that are listening, what do you listen to? What do you watch? How do you stay current and fresh in the financial markets?
Yeah, I constantly read all the time. So I read stuff online. I got on Google, you could basically tap into what feeds you want. So I get feeds on, finance, business, credit. Of course, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That help. And then Rich Dad, Stephen Covey books.
I've got those too.
The Art of the Deal. Before Trump got crazy. Power. 4-Day Rules of Power. Books like those. And what they did was, they took stuff that I was doing and said, you know what, this is how you fine-tune it. The 4-hour work week, stuff like that.
Yes.
But I always feel that no matter what industry you're in, whether it's the music industry, you have a beauty salon, a restaurant, I always say, hey, always read different stuff. Read different articles. Know the trends, what's happening, what's not happening. Read someone that's successful and read how they got to be that successful. Read some people that may write about how they failed and learn off of their failure. Right. Because, it's always about, especially in this social media age and this internet age where stuff is just trending every 3 months. One thing may go and it changes 3 months later. The way I felt that I survived in real estate as long as I did is because when the market hit, unlike a lot of people that say, oh my God, I used to make millions of dollars, I lost everything, it sucks, but the whole world sucks. And back in the days, I used to do this for real estate. I used to make all this money. I adapted. I said, hey, look, that was a good ride. I just rebranded myself, did loss mitigation, got into business loans, got into financing, made myself a consultant, hired myself out to municipalities like the city of Mount Vernon, work with investors, work with business owners, got my money up front as opposed to waiting on commission, because I say, hey, that model don't really work. I'm not going to wait 6 months to get a commission. No, I got this experience. I'm going to get paid up front. So it was the rebranding, but it was about me reading and said what I need to do. What are the trends? I saw that everything was trending on social media. I got on IG. I learned, like, hey, let me make these memes. People don't want to read a 150-page book sometimes. Let me just put these little memes, which was my group, the 800 Credit Score Club. I just got a bunch of little memes. They're funny, but it gives you tips on real estate, tips on keeping your credit up, tips on small business. And people could just, everyone's quick. I just want to see something real quick. Okay, I give you something real quick. You're going to see 5 lines with a tip, and you can keep it moving.
Right.
So it was all about adapting. Everything I feel for, like, what people want to do in terms of your business and what you want to do is always read, look at the trends, and then just adapt.
Charlette, how about you? What do you read and keep your nose into?
It's interesting that a lot of the same books that he mentioned are some of the same books that I've read. All this Stephen Covey books. Stephen Covey, Stephen Covey's the author of The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. But there's another succession of books that I read. The author is Richard Bach. And he had books, The Automatic Millionaire, Smart Women Finish Rich, Smart Couples Finish Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
You got the Millionaire Next Door.
The Millionaire Next Door. I'm not trying to give commercials, but The Millionaire Next Door. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Dave Ramsey books.
Yes.
I love Dave Ramsey's principles. Some of the books that my brother advised me to read was The Richest Man in Babylon. He really stressed that I read that book. It's an older book, but it apparently has a lot of, like, strong principles that rich people are supposed to read.
Okay.
Or they abide by. What I know that I need to do a better job on, though, is actually reading more. Like, I have a lot of the older books.
Right.
And I can refer back to them, but what I need to do more is what he just mentioned, like going on, setting my Google alerts to funnel articles about finance, funnel articles about investing, things like that, because I've got the fundamentals down.
Right.
But it doesn't hurt for me to go back and reread these books every once in a while. Just, when I get an inkling to get off track, these books help to keep me on track, on target and focused on keeping the main thing. He also mentioned the 4-Hour Work Week. I read that book as well. So these are all books that people should have, like, in their tool belt. Just start with one book. Start with one book.
Now things are Audible.
Absolutely.
So I read with Audible because I don't have time to physically sit and read, unfortunately. So while I'm doing things, I'm reading books or listening to books in the background. So it's really, that's very helpful because then I feel like I am feeding my brain as well as doing other things and listening to the content of the book. So, explore that as an opportunity as well if you can't. And then some people are just readers. They like the smell and opening of the books, the cracking of the pages. They like to dog ear them or highlight it and go back and put sticky notes in it and that kind of thing. And it becomes like a part of their wardrobe because they go back to it all the time and refer to it. But I think as you both have a super solid, strong foundation. And so it's also great to see and understand how to build on that foundation. And I don't know, is there a time frame that people can expect to start to see change in their finances? Is it a 90-day, a 30-day? Like, kind of give a sense of how we should see progression in our finances. Will it happen that quickly? I'm looking at Charlette. You think could it happen that fast?
You know what? The only reason I'm gonna say yes, is because right before I got this job, and I won't tell all my business, but before I got the job I have now, I had run through almost all my money. I think I had $2,000 left in my account.
Wow.
$2,000 left in my account, and shout out to the friends who, gifted me money.
I know,
I had
that's
a friend
right.
that gifted me $1,000. I had an ex-boyfriend who's a good friend that gifted me $2,000.
Because they see that you're worth it.
And that's what they said. That's what they said.
You're worth it, and they didn't want to see you fail.
That's what they said.
Because you had worked your whole adult life in doing the right thing. And so they're like, no, we're not going to let this happen. So this, Carl, this is a story that matches what you were saying about the Egyptian people. We have it right here in the room.
Yeah, you're right.
So somebody, they did the same thing for you.
Right, you're absolutely
This
right.
is the story. So isn't that nice?
Right.
So Carly brightened his day to know that this happened in our community. So this is great. Yeah, so it happened. So this is awesome.
And you're right. Before I got this job, like if it wasn't for the gift of those friends, I would have been SOL. But because I had the foundation of, okay, this is how much money I'm going to make every week, every 2 weeks or whatever. Like I was able to build my money back up. Like when I started, amassing that, getting my paychecks and still living within a certain budgeted amount, every month, I was able to put myself back in a position of power and of opportunity.
Right.
So just like what Carl was saying earlier, okay, how can I save $200 or $300 a month? Let me negotiate this. Let me negotiate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is so incredible. If you can renegotiate your power, but not your power, but with your natural gas rate. If you can conserve more water a month. If you can get a roommate to rent, if you can rent out a room in your house, if you can Airbnb your house, there's so many ways that you can start implementing little steps in order to save $200 a month. That's going to ultimately, turn into $1,000, $10,000 a year, if you do it right. When you say like, how long is it going to take for you to start seeing changes? It really depends on, what you value, what your goals are. For me, it didn't take long at all for me to get back, like I said, in my little Facebook thing, back on the good foot, because I already had the foundation in place of how I was going to spend my money.
The foundation, she said it. That is the keys of foundation. If you have a foundation, it's easier to put yourself in a good foot because of the foundation. All you need is a fine tuning. But you have a lot of us that don't have any foundation at all because they just didn't know, the lack of knowledge, or they just form poor habits. And unfortunately, those are the ones that want the most immediate results. But they have to be learned. Like I had a good foundation because I was always making money since I was a little kid. My parents used to borrow money from me. Like, when they ran out of money, they knew, like, 12 years old, oh, he got money. Hey, can we borrow $200? And I'm like, well, I'm going to get back with the interest. I was all the level. But I had that foundation, right? But I had to fine-tune it. But when I talk to, like, small business owners, say, like, new real estate investors, stuff like that, if they really don't know about credit, budgeting, they're bad with money, and they form bad habits, like, oh, I'm just going to go hang out, and I'm going to spend $300 because I just want to hang out. And they form these bad habits. You got to break it down, just like someone smoking cigarettes. And it's not overnight because they'll keep falling back off the wagon. So they got to be able to say, hey, you know what? I want to start fresh and follow this format. So, you're going to have some people that may get quicker results, that know credit, or they may say, hey, look, I had a bump in the road, but now I got a good job, so now I'm right back on the footing because I didn't let my bills lapse. You're going to have people in the middle, and then you're going to have those that's really bad. That's like, yo, you got a 480 score. You never paid no bill in your life. You're not even making good money, or if you do make money, you just don't want to hold the money. And those are the ones that's going to have a little longer span. And then you got to let them know that, hey, this is not going to happen overnight. You're going to have to break your habits, and you're going to have to follow it. And then, we always say, like, Charlette, the books that we read, it says, if you do the same thing 30 days, it's going to be a habit, or 90 days. And they got to survive that first 30 to 90 days. Because if they don't, they're going to go back, and you're going to see them again, and they're going to say the same thing in 2019 to me. Oh, 2019 is going to be my year. I'm going to budget this year. And you're going to look again at 2020. Oh, man, 2020 is going to be my year. You know what I'm saying? And it's because they're not doing the habits. They're not formulating their patterns.
It's like acquiring a good addiction, if you will, within 30 to 60 to 90 days. I'm going to say this. They have this cliche, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. And oftentimes, still, even as grown adults, as old as we are, or even as young as we are, we have friends that maybe just are not in instilling the financial principles that you are doing. And so then then you got an imbalance in your village in a sense, because now you're hanging with some people that you can't even borrow 10 from them because they ain't got it. And 10 is like, you know what I'm saying? So they don't have 100, they don't 10, 20, 100, they don't have it. And then they're looking to you because they know that you got it because you're on point. So I would encourage people to start really reassessing and not cutting people off, but just putting them in the quadrant in which they kind of need to dwell in, and try to expose yourself to other like-minded people that are really on the path or striving to be on the path of being debt-free or having financial empowerment or, getting rid of debt. Like whatever your goal is, like start speaking that, putting in the work, doing the research, start hanging around those type of people or listening to those type of people so that you can indoctrinate those type of principles into your own life. I started saying it and doing it. When I talked to Carl, I was on fire. I told him some things that I wanted to do. Good. He was like, yeah. So we started having those conversations. Yes. And as the year turns in 2019, that same person that we know and love that does fabulous things will work with me to make those things happen because it's all about financial freedom and empowerment. So with that, when you have a plan and you see it's obtainable, you get excited about it every day. Yes. And I don't, for those, I'm going to speak to the people that believe in energies and connections and all of that. Once you start doing that, other things start to begin to line up. Now you start to have access to a little bit more money than you did a week ago, a month ago, et cetera, et cetera. And it comes in small increments. To Carl's point, it comes as small as a couple of $100. Whereas sometimes when you didn't have it, $200 was a lot of money. So now when you're getting that excess amount of $200, now you're looking to see where can you put that, where can it go, that type of thing. So I want to encourage people, don't get discouraged. It's the end of the year. It's the 16th of the month. Listen, if you got something you want to save and tuck and stash away, it's not too late to start. And let that avalanche, let that start to ball, get big. Start doing the reading. The internet is our friend. When we started years ago, this information was a secret. Now it's out here. Everybody's got podcasts talking about it. So the wealth and the information is really at the tip of your hands. And it's not a prosperity thing. You got to do the work. You know what I mean? You got to do the work. But just start to change your mind, change your environment. Just because the president is in place, there's people and things that are in place for a reason for us to stay woke, for real. Like for real. And if we have an opportunity to cross-pollinate with our economics, if there's somebody that's in business that looks like you, that's about their business, sow your money into that and start to begin to build and see and start to really build the community up. And again, you can't do everybody. You may need to see a business plan. You need to check people's websites. You need to do references to make sure that they are qualified to even hold even $10 of your money. So
don't go off for how many followers and likes they got on social media. You gotta really
do the work.
Vet them out to see if they're good at what they did.
Exactly.
They got good reputation. Stuff like that.
Yes, because money is power. I said it at the beginning of the segment. Love, sex, and money. People want as much as that as they can possibly get. But money is power. And we're moving away from having stacks of money up in the bed and in the cookie jar. Now the money's on paper. Now the money's on credit scores. It's all about real estate. 401s, investments, those type of things. So I thought today was exciting. Awesome. It was good. Carl, how can the people find you? You got books coming? You got another book coming out, Carl? What's going on?
Yeah, all my books are being updated as we speak, where I'm talking about, how I survived the real estate market crash. So my real estate one, I'm talking about the real estate market crash, how we survived it, what to do now, how you make your money right now. Just like Charlette said, Airbnbs, careers in real estate. People just think you got to be a broker or an agent. No, you could be a property manager, do Airbnb. You could be a consultant, a contractor, investor, you name it. So I'm talking about that with the real estate book. For the business book, I'm talking about starting your business, how to get financing, how to get lined up for financing.
Nice.
Business you can start for under $5,000, $500, $100. Start online, start in your house, start in your bathroom, talking about that. And then like I did with my first business book, I talk about actual business owners, what they did right, what they did wrong, and what they would not do again. You know, so they can also learn in real time actual business owners and what they did to get to their success and some that failed. And then in my credit book, we're talking about the algorithms, what to do to boost your score by paying down your credit limits. If you need to boost your score within 2 weeks, taking off inquiries, you know, knowing the right mix of your credit report, what you need to have, how to build your business credit, budgeting, like we said, is very important. Your income and expenses, how to negotiate down your credit card, how to get better rates, how to, you know, talk to your utility companies to get the best rates as you can because it's competitive out there. So basically, the new books will be coming out, but my old books are still fire. What I'm doing for everybody that's been on the show, if you're live streaming, if you're listening to podcasts, you're listening to it later on, whatever, if you get on my Instagram, it's IG Carl Agard _ the money expert. If you go ahead and you add me and you DM me and say, hey, I added you, I want to follow you because I heard you on this show, I will email you all 3 of my books.
Ooh.
But you gotta mention that you came on through the show.
Carl, writing it down myself.
I'm DMing. Because I only got one book. I need the other 2.
I don't have any of your books. So say it again. How do people contact you? It's Carl what?
Yeah, Carl Agard, CarlAgard _ the money expert.
And that's on Instagram.
Yes.
On Instagram, yeah. And then just DM me, hey, I got you through the show, and then I will email within 24 hours all 3 of my ebooks.
Okay.
Nice.
On Facebook, my group is the 800 Credit Score Club. It was one of the fastest growing clubs in Facebook. Now I got a lot of imitators, you know what I'm saying? So you know mine because it's a speedometer, and it says the 800 Credit Score Club. Okay. And you look for the speedometer. That's mine. Okay. And then, once again, if you add that also, and IM me, I'll send you the ebooks also. So you got 2 ways of getting me. It's either through Instagram or Facebook. But I suggest everyone go on both. Because what's good about the 800 Credit Score Club is a bunch of us that's doing the same thing. We're talking, we're interacting, I'm putting up articles, I got my memes, where I got tips. I got an ex-football player. They used to play for the Jaguars. He puts a lot of motivational videos up. His name is Donovan Darius. I'm giving him a shout-out.
Nice.
I also want to give a shout-out to Shauna Jefferson. She's a great entrepreneur. She has a lot of books out. She's been texting me. She loves the show.
Thanks.
You got to have her on the show one day also.
Yes.
Michelle. So I want to give her a shout out. And my other partner up here in New York, he does great credit repair. He's a motivational speaker. His name is Malik Rashid. He's been texting me. I'm like texting him back, hey, let me talk. But they love both you guys.
Well, thank you.
And I love the energy. They love the energy. So we got to keep this going.
We are.
Michelle, you got to have a follow-up show.
We have another show. I am. We were talking about, yes, I am. Because we want to, the whole premise of the show for those that are listening, and thank you, Carl, for the shouts out and the people that are listening because of you. We want to empower the people, and we want to turn things around, and we want to put the right tools in people's hands so that they can be free. Right. It's all about enjoying these days that we have here on earth and not be bogged down by financial woes and things of that nature. Listen, if there are good guys out here that are willing to share the information and that have done the work, let's get it and put the work in for ourselves so that we can all be free and cruise up and boss up and have a good time, or put our kids through college, and just take a nice day at the park, like just chill and not be burdened by trying to figure out how I'm gonna pay this next bill. And some of us, we have parents that we have to take care of. That's another thing that we're looking at as well. So again, I believe that the information and the tools are here. It's a matter of putting the right people in front of us, and how much work are we willing to do to get it, to make it happen. So
and I'm gonna say, can I say something to that too,
Charlette.
well? So I have 2 things to say. The first thing I'll say is also, if you get benefit from Michelle's show, Like, if you're watching Michelle's show and you're getting benefit, he's got followers. I have people following me on Facebook. If you get benefit from shows like Michelle, let her know. Like, let her know directly. Send her an IM message, put something on YouTube, subscribe to her channel. We have to support businesses that have platforms like this that allow us to have these conversations that build each other up. So if we don't support businesses like Michelle's, if we don't sponsor her financially, if we don't strategically partner with her, then information like this, you know, they'll go to the wayside. Well, it'll go to the wayside, and we'll keep having the same conversations of, oh, we don't support each other. Oh, this thing went away. We want shows like Michelle's to continue to distribute information and to involve knowledgeable people in very pertinent conversations. So if you guys, the watchers, the viewers, the listeners, the YouTube followers, if you guys get benefit from conversations like this and other conversations, please reach out to Miss Michelle of Real Chicks Rock.
Thank you.
And have a conversation with her about supporting her show financially, about supporting her endeavors financially, because she's been a support for us. She's been a support for our community, and she has plans to continue to do that. So let's support people that give back. That's my spill.
Well, thank you.
I have another little spill, but yeah.
Yeah. So how can people find you? Are you open to questions, Charlette? Because this is a personal goal of yours. You're not necessarily in a business yet, so I don't want to put you in a spot. But if people have questions, can they contact you? Should they contact me to get to you? How do you want people
That'll work too.
Yeah. Okay.
So I did have a business doing search engine optimization for a spell when I was unemployed. I'd started my own business, helping people's websites, helping people market their business, because I love seeing other people succeed. But as of right now, I'm on Instagram under my stage name, Charboogie.
I know, Charboogie.
Charboogie. Big ups, shout outs to John Good for giving me that name, Charboogie. But yeah, people can find me on Instagram, Charboogie74, or you can find me on Facebook. Right now I'm wearing a Real Chicks Rock
t-shirt, and she looks good in it too.
Thank you. I got it from the girl herself. So you can find me on Facebook. I do vet my Facebook friends because I share a lot of personal information on Facebook.
I understand
I'm very authentic. But if people want to have like a business conversation with me, I'm going to encourage you guys to reach out to Michelle.
Yes.
Because I need people to support Michelle. I need people to let Michelle know that they saw this show.
Yeah, and listen to it. Yes.
Yeah. So if you guys, if you guys got value out of the show, reach out to Michelle, and then we'll talk from there. But if you wanted to have more shows on finances, if you know information about finances that you want to share, give Michelle a shout. And Michelle, how can people reach you?
Oh, yeah, that's my cue. So listen, I am everywhere. So I am on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Real Chicks Rock. That's what it is. I got a website. Feel free to check it. We can take comments on the website as well. I am on iTunes, Apple TV, Roku, YouTube. We are everywhere. We are taking these messages and these discussions as far as we can possibly take them. But we need your help, as both Carl and Charlette said. So like them, share them, put comments in them, DM them. If you're going to DM people late at night, DM them with this. DM them with some information versus, what you doing or what you got on.
Right.
DM them with some of this content to help them in their sleepless nights, because sometimes people are not sleeping because they don't know where the next dollar is coming from. And that is real talk. It is at the end of the year. People are looking at how they're going to provide for their families. Some of them don't even have enough to give their kid a toy. So we want to empower people to get their finances in order so that they can live their life abundantly this side of heaven. Amen. and above the dirt. We don't want to do anything and wait in last minute. We want them to enjoy it to the best of their ability. With that, we had a toy drive and holiday dinner on the 14th. I want to thank everybody that parted with donations. Thank you. They gave toys, they gave monetary donations. I want to thank you for your time, your well wishes. It was a Friday night here in Georgia, but people still came through and we had a really great time. And it was, again, an opportunity to give back to those people that are in need. Amen. And one toy in a child's hand can go a long way. Trust me, those little kids had big smiles on their faces because they got something for Christmas. And so it's about the the holiday, and we want to give all the time, not necessarily around Thanksgiving or Christmas. We here trying to give it out 365. So to Charlotte's point, help support this so that we can turn around and support you and others just like you. That's my time. I want to thank my guests.
Thank you so
Charlette
much
Clark,
Thank
Carl
you.
Agard.
Thank you. Love y'all.
Thank
Love
you.
y'all.
All
Had a
right.
ball.
All right.
Had a good
Thanks,
time.
guys.
I love talking money with people.
I know you do.
too.
We're going to bring you back. So you guys, until next time, you
Hey,
take
When I
care.
come back, the three of us got to at least do a little Christmas drink or sit down or something. I'll be back this week.
All right. I'll make it happen. All right, guys. Until next time, you take care and continue to rock on.
Okay.
Bye.
Rock on,
Bye.